What's up, Game Devs? T-Chan here, and welcome to episode 46 of Game Dev Loadout, where I chat with the best people in the game industry 7 days a week. Make sure you subscribe to the podcast for a new daily episode filled with inspiring stories. And now let's chat with today's featured guest, Russell Carroll. Russell, it is a go time. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Yes. He first began as an artist and designer on small indie games, then soon created GameTunnel.com, which did reviews and news update for indie games. He worked at Amazon as senior game producer, releasing 13 game titles, and now he is at Mobility, which created a catalog of solitaire games, in which 2 of it made the top 5 most played games on iOS. So go ahead, Russell, give us a bit about your personal life and how you got started in the game industry.
Sure, you kind of hit into a little bit of it there. I started working on games with my brother. He was an engineer, and I did art, as you noted. I'm not an artist. And I also did design. So we worked together on those small titles. He was in college. I was just a few years out of college. And while working on them, I noticed that there was this indie scene, but nobody was really talking about it. So I created kind of the first really big indie game website. And indie is small, so big for small. It's kind of like, yeah. But I got to know a lot of people in the industry, got to be on TV a few times, and really, really enjoyed that. And that led to getting a job as a director of marketing for an indie company. And I sucked at that job really bad.
Oh, no.
So I was looking for a way to get back into making the games. And so the company I was working at was called Reflexive. They gave me a chance to make a game that was a casual title, and it did fantastically well. We made a lot of money on that title. And so then we just transitioned me. So I wasn't director of marketing anymore, and I just went to full-time production. And that was great. Worked there for a long time. We got bought out by Amazon, and I guess that's the way it goes. So my degree's in biology, and I was working a job doing training tech support for Microsoft when I left that, went into the game industry.
Nice. So what do you consider your main area of expertise at the moment?
It's an interesting question. I'm a really operations, I think, is my main area of expertise in terms of what I'm asked to do. So I do work where I organize teams and the production schedule, which doesn't sound super sexy, but being able to do it well is not something that everyone knows how to do. I think that high level, my expertise is casual games. I understand the casual game market fairly well, having worked in it for many, many years. And so I get a good sense of what's going to work and what's not going to work. That's called experience, not gut. And I also I'm really good at holding visions. So having a firm idea of what I'm doing, where I want to go, and then getting us there while not over scoping or getting lost in making something too big. So I don't know, some piece of all of that is my main expertise area. I would say mostly it's just running teams and in a way that people want to be a part of the team.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Leading a team is absolutely important, and I had to learn that the hard way because leading a programmer and artist for the first time, it's really hard to do. But what is something about leading a team, especially for a casual games, that we probably don't know but we should know when leading that type of team?
Interesting question. Don't know but should know. I think that it's really important to have a positive working environment. When you're making casual games, the games aren't as competitive and as I always call them cool as like core games are. And so you really need to reflect that, I think, in everything you do. So having an environment where everyone feels happy to be working together, where they're listened to, and that we are really coming together as a team. On my teams, we have a very, I wouldn't say formal, but we have like swearing and stuff doesn't happen as much on my teams. And I think that's in part because we're trying to create this kind of positive, cooperative, helpful environment where we're lifting each other up. And I think that really fits into the casual games themselves. The types of games that we're making should feel like that. And working that way, I think, bleeds over into the way the games are made.
I'm curious, so do y'all go out for lunch, or is there something particular y'all do to motivate each other or encourage each other?
We don't go out to lunch. We do here at MobilityWare. They have lunches every Friday. And so I eat with a lot of my coworkers there. And then most of us bring our lunches in, and a number of us gather around noon time in the lunchroom we have here. So we eat together somewhat often, but some people don't, and that's cool too. Today's Tuesday, and on Tuesdays we play games together too. We play video games during lunchtime together. So that's a fun thing. We play like Bomberman and different things.
Oh, nice.
And then during our planning, so we every 2 weeks we do planning and retros. As a team, we like watch a YouTube video together, which may not sound like much, but it's somebody picks it from the team, and then it's just like some funny video or whatever, and we all get to have a laugh together. So I don't know. There's a lot of different pieces that kind of feed into that cohesion that is really important to me as far as making games.
Yeah, I wish my company let us play games during lunchtime. That would be awesome. Oh, now, what are common mistakes do you think people usually make when creating casual games, even at a pro level?
Not looking at the data is, I think, one of the biggest mistakes. A lot of people, if you haven't made the game yet, yes, there is data you can look at. You can look and see what's being successful in the market, and you can identify, like, if you look at the different categories, you could see which games are being downloaded the most in each category, and where there's an opportunity to really make a game that might fit in, that you're not going to be competing against everybody else, but yet there's a category that maybe has a lot of downloads.
So something like a niche market?
Not necessarily niche. You might find by like going to Google Play that if you look through everything, that maybe the puzzle category or the card category or the casino category has like a top 10 list that you feel like you could crack, versus a list that's like, dude, I'm never going to be able to compete against those other games.
Oh, I love that. Go check out the downloads, do your research, and find something that you could crack or make something unique and target that audience. That is awesome. Now, let's take this on a more personal level. And you've been in the game industry for so long now, so I'm pretty sure you had some bad moments. What was the worst moment of your career? That one moment that's still vivid in your mind. Be very detailed and tell us that personal story.
So this one's a hard one. I think a lot about bad moments, and mostly bad moments are just when things went wrong and we learned from them. And so in the end, they all turn into good moments, right? They all turn into like, boy, I'm glad I learned like this thing. So most of the bad moments that I've had are really when like studio changes happen, right? So that's not probably as interesting. The hardest thing for me ever was having to work on core games, actually. So we made a transition when I was working at Reflexive after we got bought by Amazon to working on core games. And there's nothing wrong with core games. It's just not something I'm good at. And so when we made that transition, I got put in front of a team when we were working on a core game for tablet, which is probably a horrible combination. And so we were hiring in this team, and we were at the same time working through a bunch of different prototypes. And in the end, we were making a game, never got released, but we were making a game that I didn't even want to be working on. And so that felt horrible. And a couple of big takeaways from that is, if you're working on something you don't like and that you're not good at, you're probably making a bad game, and you're probably making everybody else around you miserable because you just aren't doing a good job. Now, to Amazon's credit, they never said I was doing poor, and my team was always behind me, and we worked hard. We went through one game for several months and then decided it wasn't working, so we killed it, and then we went to another game. But in both of those instances, we were working on just something that I wasn't passionate about. And I think that not only was I not passionate about it, I just didn't like it, right? There's a difference between working on something you love and then just working on something that it's okay. And then working on something that's like, I don't like this project. I would never play it if I wasn't working here.
Yeah, so you want to have that passion because in the end you probably make a better game out of that. What do you want to tell those game devs that, like, I guess have no choice but to create that game, or what can they do, I guess, to persuade their executives maybe they want to create another game? Is there any other options they could do?
Yeah, I think that there probably are. When I was there at Amazon, we looked at like different ways where, obviously I'm good with casual, which tends to make people think of puzzles. So if you look at like the game you're working on, maybe there's some aspect that relates to you that you say, hey, well, I can work on this part of it and that really will function well for me. So that would be what I would say is like try to find like the piece that really appeals to you. So maybe you're making a golf game and you hate golf, but you're really into water. So just work on doing the water reflections and making it the best darn water in the world, because that's at least interesting to you. I think there's always some aspect of the game dev that you can work on. And I worked for several years, I think, doing some pretty good work, even though it wasn't maybe my forte.
Yeah, so find something specific you like in that game. If you don't like the overall vision, find something else specific in that game you can work on that you enjoy working on. Yeah, that's awesome. Now that you're more experienced and better, what do you think was the best investment you've made? And it could be an investment of money, time, or energy. And how did you decide to make that investment?
It's probably time, and it's probably time in learning how to interact with other people. And that's an ongoing thing. You're going to work with so many people over your career, and you have these times when just like communication is not working and you're like at each other's throats and you want to like, you just can't get anything done if it's misfiring. So I would say over the full of my career, I've become much better at and still have a long way to go in communicating and improving how we work together and relate to each other. I mentioned having a very positive environment is really important to me. I work really hard at that. It's something I have to continue to work at, especially as you look at like communicating up the chain, right? When you communicate with somebody who controls what you're doing and can just shut you down without you feel like maybe you've been heard, that is a hard situation to be at. And I had multiple times, I think earlier in my career, especially, where I probably wasn't the best person at talking, either with people up the chain or down the chain. I tend to be, very strong-willed. I have really passionate visions. And so you can see where that's really great to lead a team and like head for that vision. And you can also see where that can also be a weakness, right? Where you don't want to talk to that person because they just won't freaking change their mind for anything. And so putting in time to try to keep working at that, to try to become better at listening and talking with people isn't just something that helps you in the game industry. It helps you in all of life. But I'm really happy I've done that, because without that, I would still be, a junior designer, a junior producer somewhere. It's only because I've focused on that I've been able to improve over time to the positions I've been able to have.
So be open-minded and listen. Yeah, I heard listen is a big skill you need to have, especially with dealing with other people. And what do you want to tell like introverts? Because I'm actually a big introvert myself, and I get nervous talking or networking with other people. I guess how can an introvert strive in this environment where communication is key?
Little by little, I think being patient with yourself is one really key thing. Don't expect that you're going to change tomorrow, and expect that you will have setbacks in your path, and that's okay. So like find ways to try to talk. With my teams, I try to make sure everybody has a chance to speak up, and I'll try to call them out and have them present. So those are really important things to learn, and they're really hard for some people to be like in front of a group. I've had a couple of people I've worked with who just said like, please don't ever put me in front of a room where I have to present something. And I get that, and I hope that we can work together to get past that. There's some great books out there that I also would recommend. Things like Mindset is an interesting one that I've been reading recently. But I would say look at books, I guess they're called like self-help books. I'm not sure. But those types of books that help open your mind to like, you can change. Who you are isn't who you have to be. You can grow, and all of us have weaknesses and strengths, and all of us can grow those strengths. And that's what I think life's all about, is change, changing yourself. And so if you're not a great artist, you can become a good artist, right? If you're not a great programmer, you can become a good programmer. If you want to lead teams, you can become good at those parts that help you to lead teams. So I'm a real firm believer in everybody challenging themselves and growing in that way. And so if you're an introvert, challenge yourself to speak up. I know I'm not the most sociable person as well, but I'm much better than I was 15 years ago, and that feels great.
Yeah, be patient. It takes time, and just keep at it. And eventually, you be more social. Now, with the game industry booming every year now, what are you most excited about today?
I'm really into mobile games as far as excitement goes. So there's two levels of this, right? There's the professional and there's the personal. I'm people will tell you one of the world's biggest Nintendo fans, and so The Switch is like super exciting to me. I got one day one, and I've been playing Zelda literally every day since it came out, and I've got a ton of the other games. So I love this whole thing. Like I can pick it up, I can take it to work with me, I can play during lunch, I can take it back home, I can walk upstairs and play it. Like it's great. Professionally, I love mobile games because it allows us to reach out to people who normally wouldn't play games, right? Like my dad plays on his mobile device, and that's kind of trite and old, but that for me is so powerful that we're able to reach all kinds of people who wouldn't play games otherwise because they've got this supercomputer in their pocket and they pull it out. And, I make solitaire right now and I make other card games. That's just awesome that so many people play those card games, that so many people are being reached who otherwise probably wouldn't play at all, right? Like my dad's never going to buy a game console. He's not going to put something on his PC even. But because it's in his pocket, he'll pull it out and he'll play the stuff that he plays on there, which aren't my card games yet, but I'm working on that.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. With the Switch as well, like the Switch, I did not expect the portability to be that of a big deal, but wow, I take it everywhere and play it as well. And my wife, who doesn't really consider herself a gamer, she plays games all the time. So to me, she's a gamer.
Right.
Awesome. Don't forget Game Devs. You can check out my website for more information. And now, Russell, we have reached a crunch time that face that Game Devs dread, but we are here to overcome it. Basically, I will ask you quick questions and you'll be giving us a ton of valuable information in return. Are you ready to crush it and release the show?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. What was holding you back from joining the game industry?
I didn't have any skills. No skills, no experience.
What was a personal habit that contributes to your success?
Reading customer reviews every day. And I don't get it every day now, but you find out so much about your customers, and it's so critical to know what your customers are thinking, what they're feeling. Right now, I'm in a place where we get thousands of reviews from our customers every day, so that's pretty awesome. But when I got less, just read them all, learn, think, understand your customer.
Let me ask you this. The bad reviews, they're like 1 star or the big haters. Some people really get hurt by those. What do you want to tell those game devs?
You got to have a thick skin, man. When they are talking about the things that they don't like, it's not because they don't like you. Even if they say the developers are stupid, which I see a lot of, even with our games, like, I can't believe they did this. You got to understand that, they're a person out there, and from their perspective, there's a problem. And the fact that they care enough to call it out means that they really are deeply invested. So those are the kind of the customers you really want the most. So I actually, when I go in, if you go into Google Play, you can sort by 1-star reviews, and I can do the same on App Annie for our iOS reviews. I usually start there, honestly, at the 1-star reviews, because I want to know what they're thinking above everybody else.
I like you changing their perspective on the more positive spin to it, because you want to see what exactly they're saying and see if I guess anything's wrong with the game or not. What's the best piece of advice you've ever received?
It's probably something along the lines of get feedback from your peers. When I first started in the game industry, I didn't want anyone to see anything I'd done until I was done with it. And that's not a good way to do things. It's good to get feedback early and often, as from as many people as you possibly can. I'm a big fan of what Pixar does with their bringing in people to look at movies early on and give feedback on whether or not they're meeting the goals that they've set for themselves, right? So if you say, hey, I want this game to do this, this, and this, I want it to evoke these feelings, share it with people and see if it's doing that. You can share the idea, you can share prototypes, but I think getting as much critical feedback as you can from people who you trust, and then depersonalizing yourself, so you're not taking that, you're not trying to defend it, but you're just taking it and trying to make things better, is the most valuable thing that I've been told to do and been learning through experience over the years.
What's a personal habit that contributes to your success?
So we talked about customer reviews. Another one I think is looking at a daily dose of data. So I'm a really, really big fan of data. I like to A/B test everything. I don't like to go in and put out something and go well, I wonder if that was successful. I like to be able to identify specifically, the changes we made were valuable. They were what people wanted. I look at reviews for that to see what the customers say, but then the data tells us what the customers do, and sometimes those don't align. So what they do is way more important than what they say in the end of the day. But I strongly recommend everybody look at data.
Love that. Read the data and read the reviews. Awesome. Now, this next question is a bit of a doozy, so take your time if you need to. Imagine you woke up the next morning in a brand new world and you knew no one. You still have all the experience and knowledge you currently have today. Your food and shelter is taken care of and you have a laptop. What would you do step by step on the path to become a great game developer?
I would go out and I would find some tools. I'm a fan of like Construct for making prototypes at home. So I'd probably go find something like that. And then I'd just start making games. I'd start with very small games because every developer will tell you finishing a game is the hardest thing because you have all these things you want to just get perfect to where you go like, hey, I want someone else to play this. So I would work small, start with something like tic-tac-toe, although that has AI, so that may be too big. But start with something small and try to get it done and finished and out, and then do something else that's a little bit bigger. Learn step by step. I would have a vision of like, I want to make game X, and I have my idea of what that design is, and I try to find pieces along the way that I can make smaller games that incorporate some of those things so that I can learn how to do them all the way until I get to that final game. But I would release early, often, as many games as I possibly could, and I would use whatever I can. So for me, that would be like Construct or some other tool that, like maybe Unity is maybe a little bit harder to work with there, but something that I can make games with, make small games, release the games, and do it now.
Ooh, do it now. We have reached the end. Go ahead and give a parting piece of guidance and how we can connect with you, and then we'll say goodbye.
So you can reach out to me. My email is rcarroll@mobilityware.com. It's pretty much as it sounds, RCARROLL@MOBILITYWARE.com. I don't really tweet much, so I'm sorry about that. So mostly it's going to be email to reach me. I'm kind of old school that way. But yeah, reach out. I respond to all emails.
And what do you want to leave us a parting piece of guidance?
As parting piece of guidance is, I think, to do what's important to you, you gotta, for me, that's like making people smile. I mentioned core games weren't for me. For me, what's been most fun is making people happy, making them feel relaxed, feel peace, and just feel good. For somebody else, that might be, you want to make them feel like a sense of mastery, like they're really good at something, or like that there's like excitement, or like the fear, or like whatever that feeling is. I would say like focus in on like what's important to you and like build that into your products. So for me, that's obviously it's feeling good, it's connecting with other people, finding ways to bring that into what you do every day, means that what you love and what you're learning about, what you're trying to do, will come out in the products you make. And that's only going to make better games.
Oh yeah, putting that smile on someone's face when they play a game, it's absolutely amazing feeling, for sure. Russell, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much for sharing your journey with us. And for that, we are truly grateful. And we will catch you next time.
Sounds good. Thanks, Tony.
Thank you, Game Devs, for listening, and remember that knowledge is only potential power. Execution is the game. I am so excited to announce our first sponsored giveaway with Game Dev Underground, where a winner can get a free 1-hour consultation with the founder, Tim Rusbeck. So if you have any questions on building and launching your game, get on this giveaway ASAP. This is a $1,000 value, and it can be yours. All you have to do is go to the show notes page at GameDevLoadout.com and sign up for my email list. That's it. So until then, keep on making great games, and I will catch you on the next episode. Bye.